DC young flies get one time. Hopping Bob ass nigga, don't cross the gun line. Life sentence, the biggest, a slight menace. A half a billion.
Well, damn, fat boy. Well, damn, fat boy.
An absolute, unprecedented firestorm just exploded across the entire internet, and the entertainment industry is currently standing in complete, jaw-dropping shock. We thought we had seen every possible level of celebrity petty drama, but what just went down on an emergency midnight live stream between comedy superstar DC Young Fly and hip-hop mogul Rick Ross has officially shattered every social media algorithm on the planet. When Rick Ross took a blatant, unexpected shot at DC Young Fly on a track from his brand new album, he thought he was pulling off a masterclass in promotional strategy to boost his streaming numbers. He expected DC to stay silent, laugh it off, or make a quiet joke. But Rick Ross made the single biggest mistake of his entire 30-year career. In an explosive, late-night live stream that smashed all platform view records within minutes, DC Young Fly pulled back the curtain on the entire music industry. He didn't just roast Rick Ross's weight, his clothes, or his fake boss persona. DC brought out certified, confidential industry metrics and private text receipts proving that Ross's entire album beef was a desperate, manufactured stunt to save a dying project from catastrophic flop sales. Stay right where you are, because what DC revealed at the 8-minute mark changes everything you thought you knew about Rick Ross forever. To fully comprehend the apocalyptic scale of this massive fallout, we have to rewind the tape and examine the deep, simmering tension that has been quietly building behind closed doors between DC Young Fly and Rick Ross for years. On the surface, these two figures represent two completely different worlds within urban entertainment. DC Young Fly, born and raised in Atlanta, built his legendary status from the ground up through pure, unadulterated comedic genius. From his early days going viral on Vine and Instagram to becoming the undisputed crown jewel of Wild and Out and the powerhouse host of the record-breaking 85 South show, DC is a man of the people. He is universally respected for his authenticity, his lightning-fast wit, and his unwavering loyalty to his roots. DC is the kind of entertainer who doesn't need a corporate PR machine. His talent speaks for itself, and his fanbase is fiercely protective of him. On the other end of the spectrum stands William Leonard Roberts II, globally known as Rick Ross, the biggest boss, the founder of Maybach Music Group, and a man who built a multi-million-dollar mythology around luxury, street dominance, and untouchable corporate wealth. For nearly 2 decades, Rick Ross operated with a bulletproof aura. He rapped about private jets, sprawling estates, and endless flows of champagne. But over the last few years, the culture began noticing subtle cracks in the Maybach armor. The music landscape shifted rapidly, streaming algorithms became unforgiving, and a new generation of fans started demanding raw authenticity over manufactured flexes. The initial spark between DC Young Fly and Rick Ross traces back to a legendary, highly publicized incident on the 85 South show set. Ross pulled up to the interview, sat on the couch with DC, Carlos Miller, and Chico Bean, and engaged in conversation for a brief period before suddenly claiming he needed to step away to use the restroom. Instead of returning, Ross quietly exited the building, got into his SUV, and drove straight to the airport, leaving the hosts completely bewildered in real time. While the clip became an instant viral meme, the disrespect lingered beneath the surface. DC Young Fly and the crew handled it with humor on camera, but behind the scenes, industry insiders knew that Ross's abrupt exit was a calculated power move, an attempt to position himself as superior to the platform that was giving him free promotion. Complex plus 3. Fast forward to recent months, and the tension reignited when Ross went on a media run to promote his upcoming studio album. Facing stiff competition from younger artists and struggling to secure a top 10 charting single, Ross's label was reportedly in a state of absolute panic. Internal projections showed that his initial pre-orders were dangerously low, numbers that would severely damage the biggest boss image he had spent decades constructing. Industry executives knew that in order to survive in the modern media ecosystem, Ross needed a viral controversy. He needed a headline that would force blogs, reaction channels, and casual listeners to talk about his project. Instead of engaging in a traditional rap beef with another musician, where he risked getting out-rhymed or exposed, Ross made a strategic, highly cynical decision. He decided to target a comedian. Ross believed that dissing DC Young Fly on a prominent album track would create instant buzz without any real threat of lyrical retaliation. On the album's third track, Ross sneered into the microphone, taking direct jabs at DC's platform, his appearance, and even making subtle, disrespectful references to his personal life. Ross thought he had executed a flawless marketing ploy. He posted clips of the diss track across his social media pages, leaning into the drama and smirking for the camera. The music blogs swallowed the bait, headlines started flying, and for a brief 24-hour window, Rick Ross was trending everywhere. But Ross completely miscalculated the psychological profile of DC Young Fly. Ross treated DC like a quiet bystander who would take the insult in stride for the sake of entertainment. He failed to realize that DC Young Fly is a master of live, unscripted verbal destruction, a man who trained in the trenches of roast battles and who possesses a treasure trove of industry secrets. The fuse was lit, the trap was set, and Rick Ross had no idea he was walking directly into a nuclear detonation that would forever alter his legacy. The explosion officially occurred at 1:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Without any prior announcement, countdown, or promotional teaser, DC Young Fly fired up an unannounced Instagram live stream from his private recording studio in Atlanta. Within 90 seconds, over 300,000 viewers flooded the stream, notifications glitching across phones worldwide as words spread like wildfire that DC was sitting in front of a microphone with a look of pure, cold determination on his face. He didn't start off screaming. He didn't drop a comedy skit. DC sat in a leather chair, wearing a plain black hoodie, looking dead into the camera lens with an icy, calm intensity that sent immediate chills down the spines of everyone watching. "Y'all think everything is a joke," DC began, his voice lowered to a deep, steady tone that instantly silenced the chaotic live comment section. "Y'all think because I smile, because I roast, because I make millions of people laugh every single day, that I'm soft. Y'all think a man can sit in a studio, record a song mentioning my name, dissing my family, dissing my hustle, and think I'm just gonna sit back and let him use my pain to sell his little 50,000 copy album?" YouTube. The chat erupted into total, unbridled madness. Fire emojis and shock reactions moved so fast they blurred the screen. DC reached down to his desk and picked up an iPad, tapping the screen to reveal a series of color-coded documents, email threads, and audio waveforms. "Let me tell y'all what Rick Ross won't tell you," DC continued, leaning forward until his face filled the screen. "You fat boy. You big, fake, optical illusion-built corporate mascot. You sat on that record calling me a YouTube comedian, talking about I ain't on your level. But let's look at the actual numbers, William. Let's pull up the certified receipts that your ANR sent to my management team 3 weeks ago." DC held the iPad directly up to the high-definition camera lens, exposing a confidential email thread originating from a senior vice president of marketing at Ross's record label. The subject line read, "Urgent. Ross album marketing strategy and controversy allocation." The document explicitly outlined a desperation marketing plan. It revealed that first-week sales projections for Rick Ross's new album were tracking at an abysmal 14,000 units, a figure so tragically low for a legacy artist that it would result in an immediate corporate write-off by his distributor. The email explicitly recommended that Ross create a high-visibility, low-risk conflict with a prominent digital personality in order to artificially boost streaming metrics by at least 300%. "You didn't diss me because you had real smoke with me, Ross," DC yelled, his voice rising into a thunderous, razor-sharp roar that reverberated through the speakers. "You diss me because you are broke. Not regular broke. You are corporate lease broke. You got 40 cars on a lawn that you don't even own the land under. You got a mansion with 300 rooms and a $100,000 monthly utility bill that you've been deferring through third-party LLCs just so the power company don't cut the lights off before your album drop." YouTube. The live stream count crossed 600,000 concurrent viewers, breaking the all-time record for a solo live broadcast in urban entertainment history. DC didn't pause for a single second. For the next 30 minutes, he delivered the most relentless, terrifyingly accurate verbal destruction ever recorded on live camera. He dissected Ross's entire persona, element by element. He exposed how Ross's famous luxury car collection was actually tied up in complex, high-interest floor plan loans with private dealership groups in South Florida. He revealed that Ross's beloved Wingstop franchise locations were facing severe operational audits due to unpaid regional licensing fees. And then, DC dropped the first massive twist that completely paralyzed the audience. DC played a 5-second, leaked audio snippet directly from his phone. The voice on the recording was undeniably Rick Ross, speaking in a muted, panicked tone during a private phone call with a prominent Atlanta event promoter just 6 days before the album released. In the audio, Ross can be heard saying explicitly, "Man, we gotta get DC to react to the line. If he don't go live and talk about it, this album is dead in the water. We need the drama, man. Tell his team we can split the controversy revenue on the back end if he plays along." The internet completely shattered. The revelation that Ross had tried to secretly orchestrate a fake, mutually beneficial beef behind the scenes, only for DC Young Fly to reject the offer and use the recording to publicly expose him, turned the entire narrative upside down. Ross wasn't a ruthless boss taking down a comedian. He was a desperate industry veteran begging a younger, more relevant creator to help him stay afloat. DC turned off the audio, looked directly into the camera with a look of supreme victory, and slammed his hand on the desk. "You tried to script me, Ross. You tried to turn my name into a marketing strategy for your flop album. You thought I was gonna play along with your fake-ass WWE rap drama? Nah, big boy. You picked the wrong one. You want boss talk? Let's talk about how your label just froze your promotional budget because of this exact live stream." Panic broke out inside Rick Ross's inner circle in Miami. Leaked messages from staff members at Ross's Star Island residence indicated that Ross was watching a live stream from his home theater room, surrounded by his security team and management. When DC played the leaked phone call, Ross reportedly dropped his glass of champagne onto the marble floor, stood up in an absolute blind rage, and began screaming at his team to get his legal department on the phone immediately. The situation had spiraled completely out of control. What was supposed to be a clever, controlled album rollout had instantly transformed into a career-ending exposure event. But just as the audience thought DC Young Fly had reached the absolute peak of his destruction, he paused, checked a notification on his phone, and delivered a chilling second revelation that raised the stakes to an even more dangerous level. The atmosphere in the live stream transformed from chaotic comedy into tense, heavy suspense. DC Young Fly set his phone down on the desk, stared silently at the screen for 10 agonizing seconds, and slowly leaned closer to the microphone. "I just got a text message from a very powerful attorney in Miami," DC said, his voice dropping into a quiet, dangerous whisper. "They're telling me that Rick Ross's legal team is currently contacting the platform attempting to issue an emergency copyright strike to take this stream down. They're claiming I'm broadcasting confidential corporate trade secrets and unauthorized audio recordings. But guess what? It's too late, William. The whole world already saw the receipts." Within minutes of DC's announcement, the hashtag DC exposes Ross hit the absolute #1 trending spot globally on X, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Reaction channels across the internet went live simultaneously, analyzing every single frame of DC's iPad screen, zooming in on the email timestamps, and cross-referencing the financial data with public property filings in Fayette County, Georgia. The social media landscape became a total battleground. Bloggers pulled public corporate records from Maybach Music Group, confirming that the corporate entity had indeed filed for 3 separate administrative extensions on its state tax filings over the past 18 months. The narrative that Rick Ross was an untouchable, liquid cash billionaire was officially crumbling in front of millions of eyewitnesses. Then came the second unexpected twist that fundamentally changed the trajectory of the entire controversy. As DC was continuing his live stream, prominent hip-hop commentator and media personality DJ Academics went live on his own platform, revealing that he had just received an emergency document leak from an anonymous insider inside Ross's distribution company. The document was an official corporate memorandum issued by the record label's executive board just 90 minutes after DC started streaming. The memo stated in plain, brutal black and white text that due to unforeseen reputational damage, public backlash, and potential legal exposure arising from unverified promotional conflicts, the label was officially halting all physical distribution and marketing expenditures for Rick Ross's new album. Read that again. The label didn't just delay the album, they completely froze the entire financial backing of the project. Millions of dollars in planned television appearances, billboard campaigns in Times Square, and radio placement packages were instantly canceled in real time as the corporate board scrambled to contain the disaster. The news hit the internet like an earthquake. Twitter threads exploded with commentators pointing out the incredible, historical irony. Rick Ross had manufactured a fake beef to save his album sales, only for the beef to backfire so catastrophically that his own label pulled the plug on the entire project. Celebrities couldn't contain their reactions. Major figures from the comedy and hip-hop worlds began weighing in publicly. Comedians posted hilarious video reactions mocking Ross's abrupt interview exits, while prominent rappers left cryptic, laughing emojis under news updates. 50 Cent, Ross's eternal arch-nemesis, immediately capitalized on the chaotic moment. He posted a video on Instagram sitting in a luxury car, holding a bag of popcorn, laughing hysterically as he played clips of DC Young Fly roasting Ross on repeat. 50 captioned the post, "I told y'all for 15 years. The man is a walking fairy tale." DC Young Fly just did what the entire rap game was too scared to do. Meanwhile, inside Ross's camp, absolute total paranoia took over. Leaked reports from former Maybach music associates revealed that a massive internal investigation was launched to identify the person who leaked the private phone call and marketing strategy emails to DC Young Fly. Suspicions pointed toward a disgruntled former A&R executive who had recently been let go during label downsizing, but no one knew for sure how deep the breach went. Floyd Mayweather's name even got dragged back into the conversation, with fans drawing hilarious parallels between Ross's current financial exposure and the recent tax drama surrounding Mayweather. The internet created thousands of side-by-side memes depicting Ross and Mayweather standing outside closed bank vaults, labeling them the Illusionist Brothers. DC Young Fly, sensing that he had completely controlled the narrative, wasn't finished. He looked back at the live camera, picked up a physical paper file folder from a briefcase on the floor, and opened it up. "Y'all think that phone call was the only thing I had?" DC asked, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "Y'all think I didn't do my homework before I sat on this stream? Ross, you spent the last 5 years talking about how you're a self-made mogul. But in this folder right here, I got the original master recording contracts from 2009 showing who actually owns the rights to the Maybach music name and catalog. And hint, it ain't you, William." The live chat went into an absolute, frantic state of panic. Before DC could read the contents of the folder, the video feed suddenly glitched, the screen froze, and a black error message popped up across the screen. This live stream has been temporarily suspended due to a high volume of privacy reports. The stream was forcefully cut off right at the absolute most critical moment, leaving over 800,000 live viewers screaming at their screens in utter frustration and desperation. The sudden, abrupt termination of DC Young Fly's live stream didn't quiet the storm. It threw gasoline directly onto an already roaring inferno. Within seconds of the black screen appearing, the entire digital world exploded into unprecedented, chaotic debate. The internet fractured into two wildly passionate, fiercely combative factions. On one side stood #TeamDC, representing millions of fans, comedy lovers, and everyday social media users who praised DC Young Fly as a heroic figure who finally exposed the fake, performative nature of corporate rap culture. Fans flooded comment sections across every platform, creating viral compilation videos of DC's most brutal roasts and hailing him as an unkillable cultural icon. DC Young Fly just proved that real authenticity will always destroy manufactured hype. One viral tweet with over 150,000 likes declared. Rick Ross tried to use a black comedian for clout and ended up getting his entire career audited on live stream. Absolute legendary behavior. On the opposing side, diehard hashtag Team Ross loyalists and old-school hip-hop purists launched an aggressive counteroffensive. They argued that DC Young Fly went way too far by airing out confidential corporate emails, publishing private phone calls, and attempting to ruin a legendary rapper's business legacy over a simple line on a song. They claimed that diss tracks and competitive trash talk have been part of hip-hop culture for 40 years, and that DC's decision to involve lawyers, contracts, and financial records was a snitch move that crossed the unwritten rules of the industry. Major media platforms went into complete overdrive. Emergency podcast episodes were recorded in middle-of-the-night sessions. High-profile urban commentary channels dedicated full 2-hour broadcasts to breaking down the legal implications of DC playing the leaked phone recording. Legal experts weighed in on television broadcasts, debating whether Rick Ross could successfully sue DC Young Fly for tortious interference, wiretapping violations, or breach of contract. Prominent music executives spoke anonymously to industry trade publications, expressing sheer panic over the precedent DC had set. If artists and comedians start leaking internal label marketing emails and private A&R strategy sheets every time they get mad, the entire promotional structure of the music business will collapse, one top-level executive admitted. DC didn't just hurt Rick Ross. He exposed the secret playbook that every major label uses to fake controversy and manipulate streaming charts. Cultural commentators pointed out the hilarious, dramatic shift in power dynamics. For years, heavyweights like Rick Ross held all the leverage in urban media. They could walk out of interviews, demand special treatment, and intimidate media hosts with their entourage. But the explosion of live streaming platforms and direct-to-audience digital media completely flipped the script. DC Young Fly proved that a single comedian with a microphone, an iPad, and a loyal audience holds more power than a traditional record label's multi-million-dollar PR machinery. Complex. Meanwhile, memes mocking Ross's abrupt exit from the 85 South show resurfaced with a vengeance. Millions of users reshared the old clip of Ross saying he needed to use the bathroom, pairing it with fresh captions reading, Ross leaving the studio after DC Young Fly dropped his tax records on IG Live. Complex +1. Every minute that passed without a formal, official video response from Rick Ross made his position look infinitely worse. His social media comment sections were completely overwhelmed by hundreds of thousands of lemon and clown emojis. Followers watched in real time as Ross's follower count began dropping by tens of thousands every hour, while DC Young Fly's social media channels experienced a massive, unprecedented surge in new subscribers. The entire culture was sitting on edge, waiting desperately to see what would happen next. Would Rick Ross issue a formal apology? Would he release a brutal response record? Or was his legal team working behind the scenes to permanently silence DC Young Fly before the contents of that black master contract folder could ever see the light of day? Just when the world believed the dramatic fallout had reached its absolute peak, a brand new, jaw-dropping revelation surfaced that completely shattered every single assumption about this war. At precisely 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, less than 2 hours after DC's stream was forcibly taken down, an official legal filing was registered in the Fulton County Superior Court in Georgia. But it wasn't a lawsuit filed by Rick Ross against DC Young Fly. It was a massive multi-million-dollar class action breach of contract lawsuit filed by the executive board of the 85 South show against Maybach Music Group and Rick Ross personally. Complex. The court documents, which were leaked to major news outlets within minutes of filing, contained a mind-blowing revelation that turned the entire story into a high-level corporate thriller. The lawsuit alleges that back in 2021, when Rick Ross famously walked out of his 85 South show interview under the guise of using the restroom, he had secretly signed an exclusive, legally binding promotional agreement with the show's parent company. Under the terms of that confidential agreement, Ross was required to provide exclusive promotional access and revenue-sharing percentages on any future projects that utilized content, memes, or references derived from his appearance on the show. Revolt TV. The filing alleges that Ross's new album diss track specifically referenced elements of that 2021 incident without authorization, effectively violating the non-circumvention clause of his original contract. The 85 South Show legal team is officially demanding an immediate court-ordered freeze on all streaming royalties generated by Ross's new album worldwide, as well as a $10 million punitive damage payout. Let that sink in. DC Young Fly's roast wasn't just a spontaneous reaction. It was the opening move of a meticulously planned, legal nuclear strike that had been quietly assembled by a team of high-powered entertainment attorneys over months. Rick Ross didn't just walk into a roast battle. He walked directly into a multi-million-dollar legal trap that threatens to strip him of his master recordings, his streaming royalties, and his corporate independence. Sources close to Ross report that upon receiving notice of the Fulton County lawsuit, the rapper immediately canceled his scheduled morning radio appearances in New York, ordered his private jet to fly him directly back to his Miami compound, and called an emergency, in-person meeting with his entire board of investors. As news of the lawsuit broke, DC Young Fly posted a short, 6-second video on his Instagram story. He was sitting in a dimly lit office, wearing dark sunglasses, holding up a single piece of paper with the Fulton County Court stamp clearly visible at the top. DC didn't say a single word. He simply looked into the camera, smiled a cold, victorious smile, tapped the court stamp with his index finger, and let the screen fade to black. The message was crystal clear. The live stream was just the warning shot. The real war hasn't even officially begun yet. Word is already circulating through industry channels that DC Young Fly is planning to go live for a Part 2 broadcast later tonight, where he promises to publicly read the sealed master recording contracts and expose the anonymous corporate investors who actually own the Maybach music brand. Rick Ross is cornered. His label has frozen his album distribution. His royalties are facing an immediate court injunction, and the entire world is waiting to see if he will survive the most catastrophic 24 hours in hip-hop history, or if the biggest boss is about to lose his empire forever. We are watching absolute history unfold right in front of our eyes, and this massive story is developing faster than the news outlets can even report it. Now I want to hear directly from you. Do you think DC Young Fly was completely justified in pulling out the iPad and exposing Rick Ross's financial receipts and private phone calls on livestream? Or do you think DC crossed a line by taking a rap beef into the courtroom and freezing Ross's album royalties? Is Rick Ross's biggest boss persona officially ruined forever, or can he somehow find a way to bounce back from this total catastrophic nightmare? Drop your raw, unfiltered thoughts in the comments section right now. I am going to be down in the comments replying to the absolute best responses over the next few hours, so let's get the debate going. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and get instant, breaking news alerts the exact second DC Young Fly goes live for Part 2, or the moment Rick Ross's legal team issues an official response, you need to take action right now. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and turn on all notification bells so you never miss a single second of this insane, escalating war. We have exclusive insider sources tracking every single development in Atlanta and Miami, and our emergency Part 2 breakdown video is dropping very soon. Don't get left behind. Subscribe right now, lock in, and stay tuned for the next explosive update.